we will do whatever it takes to stop the boats and fix this problem. The decision today, as I've said, is disappointing. We respectfully disagree with the court judgment. The system is rigged against the British people. It's as simple as that. That's why we're changing the laws through our illegal migration bill. That's why we are rolling out a groundbreaking partnership with Rwanda, which we believe is lawful, with a country that we believe is safe. So we need to change the system. We need to change our laws. That's how we're going to stop the boats. The Minister and I have made it clear that we will do whatever it takes to stop the boats and fix this problem.
The government hasn't exactly been shy in coming forward with what might come next.
We do need to leave the European Convention on Human Rights.
I'll point this out every single day if I have to. Despite the government shamelessly and repeatedly conflating the European Convention on Human Rights with the European Union, the European Court of Justice which rules on EU law, and Brexit, the ECHR has nothing to do with any of them. What the European Convention on Human Rights does do is protect our right to a fair trial, freedom of assembly and expression, the right to participate in free elections, freedom of religion, freedom from discrimination, the right to privacy, freedom from torture and degrading treatment.
We clearly have a problem with human rights law in this country that is making it difficult for us to achieve our objectives.
How can we possibly trust this truth-twisting, law-breaking government with our human rights when it's already trying to curtail our human rights under the existing convention we're already a part of? It would be like handing a kitten over to a starving crocodile. Sunak's anti-strike bill will rob millions of workers of their democratic right to strike, force them to work against their will and allow them to be sacked if they refuse. And guess what? A report by the Joint Committee on Human Rights, made up of peers and MPs, has already warned the Prime Minister his bill is likely to be incompatible with the European Convention on Human Rights.
We do need to leave the European Convention on Human Rights.
In June, we saw Sunak's government use an unprecedented abuse of power to railroads through a change to the law to strip back our right to protest. Just think about that. It's a change described by the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights as incompatible with the UK's international human rights obligations.
The optics of leaving the ECHR are difficult. You've got the stomach to leave it, clearly. Has the Prime Minister?
At this stage, nothing's ruled out.
According to the International Human Rights Watch, the UK could soon make the list of countries that abuse rather than protect human rights with its outright onslaught on the rights of its own citizens and aggressive rollback of protections such as on the right to assemble and protest. It's identified what it calls as a worrying trend by the UK government of proposing laws that violate human rights and significantly weaken protections. It points out that 2022 saw the most significant assault on human rights protections in the UK in decades.
We clearly have a problem with human rights law in this country that is making it difficult for us to achieve our objectives.
How are we allowing all this to happen? In the past 12 months, we've had the Elections Act requiring voter identification and new law specifically designed to limit our rights to judicial review, an affront to the principles of fairness and government accountability. The Court of Appeal has just ruled Sunak's plan to send asylum seekers to Rwanda is illegal. And despite telling the House of Commons Liaison Committee this about his illegal migration bill.
So we believe that our bill is compliant with the ECHR.
By now even Larry the Cat knows it's a flagrant breach of the government's obligations under both the Refugee Convention and the European Convention on Human Rights. It says as much on the front page of the bill.
The bill, very unusually, on the cover, says the Home Secretary is unable to make a statement that the provisions of the illegal migration bill are compatible with the Convention rights.
And now a Joint Committee on Human Rights has published a damning verdict after its legislative scrutiny of the government's illegal migration bill. The report, which runs to 154 pages, concludes that this bill breaches a number of the UK's international human rights obligations and risks breaching others. The committee found that it's overwhelmingly clear that the government's illegal migration bill breaches a number of the UK's international legal obligations, including the European Convention on Human Rights and the Refugee Convention, and it also risks breaching others. The damning report published by the Joint Committee found that key provisions that fail to meet the UK's obligations include severely restricting human rights claims, broad detention and search powers, and denying protections to modern slavery victims.
This judgment is disappointing for the majority of the British people.
Really? Well, let's ask them.
Is there anyone here who supports sending people to Rwanda?
Good on you.
And this rotten to the core bunch of lawbreakers and truth twisters expect us to trust them with our human rights. Well, absolute bollocks to that.